So Renfield was directed by Chris McKay and it stars Nicholas Hoult, Aquafina, and Nicolas Cage as Dracula. And this movie that takes place in modern times, Renfield, played by Nicholas Hoult, has had enough of Dracula's abusive behavior, his manipulative ways, and he decides he wants to get a new lease on life, try to escape this toxic relationship, which includes falling in love with this traffic cop played by Aquafina. And then they try to take down him as well as his crime family, and that's the movie. So this was a movie that I was really looking forward to just for the idea of Nicolas Cage as Dracula. Now, I do like Nicolas Cage. I do think he's an interesting actor. No matter what type of movie he does, I'm always going to be fascinated by that. And him as Dracula, which is apparently one of the roles that he's been wanting to do for the longest time, like one of his top three roles, it was Dracula, Superman, and Captain Nemo. And now he finally gets to play Dracula. It's like, that's great. I really am happy for this. And the trailers, honestly, I had a lot of fun with the trailers. They looked really fun. They looked funny. They looked exciting. Definitely looked blood. It's soaked in over everything. I was really looking forward to this movie. So how did I feel about the movie? I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I may not like it as much when I sat down and thought of it for a little bit. It's like, okay, maybe I didn't like that, or maybe I didn't like that. But it doesn't change the fact that while I was watching it in the theater, I just had a blast with the movie. So, what works in the movie? Mainly the performances are pretty good. Nicholas Hoult is really good in this movie. I did like it when he was being funny. It wasn't like overly funny. It was just kind of like dry and such. I thought that was really good. I thought his character arc was really well done. Nicholas Holt's a really good actor, and I feel like he should get more. Like, he was really good in movies like this and The Menu and Mad Max Fury Road. I hope he gets something more out of this. Awkwafina is also decent in the movie. Mainly her dramatic scenes, I think, are a little bit better than her comedic scenes in this movie, surprisingly. Which is weird because of everyone in the cast, she's like the biggest comedian in the cast. Her comedy is not necessarily bad in this movie. It's just not nearly as fun as someone like Nicholas Hoult or Nicolas Cage. Admittedly, she's better than Ben Schwartz in this movie. Let's talk about Nicolas Cage for a second. Oh, Nicolas Cage is just... He's not in the movie very much, unfortunately, but I'm also just thinking, I'm kind of glad he's not in the movie too much. I feel like with a performance like that, it would have been just overshadowing people like Nicholas Hoult and Aquafina, and I'm just glad that he's not in the movie that much, but he does a lot with what he is given. Like, he's hamming up the performance. He's having a blast playing this role. And there are moments where I'm just, like, really enjoying his performance. It's deliciously evil. And I'm really glad that he got to do this. Admittedly, I laughed throughout this entire movie. Pretty much the majority of scenes I am laughing throughout. Like, something like Cocaine Bear, which I know a lot of people didn't really care for. I laughed throughout that movie, too. And I laughed throughout this movie as well. I thought it was very funny. The best jokes aren't in the trailer, and I actually really did like it. Also, it does pay a lot of homages to Dracula. Like, one of the opening scenes is them in black and white, Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage. And I thought that was really well done. You can definitely tell they're paying homage to something like Hammer horror films with the blood in the movie. Kind of like something that Sleepy Hollow did, where it's like the color of the blood was like bright orange. And it's like, there's no way that the blood is like, that is no way that's human blood. It's like, that is like pure Hammer blood right there, and it looks like it's just clearly paying tribute to what they were trying to do. And the makeup effects, especially on Nicolas Cage as Dracula, is also really good. There are times where it's like, I can't believe, is that actually Nicolas Cage in that scene? And it looks like it's all mostly practical, but I definitely couldn't tell that was actually him underneath there, but it was really impressive to see that. Is there anything in this movie that I didn't really care for? Well, the romance between Renfield and Aquafina in this movie, I felt like was kind of forced. It didn't really need to be in the movie, but it just, I don't know, it just felt like, oh, we need to give him a romance. It's like, why do you need to give him a romance? I felt like it's not like they don't have any chemistry, but it's like the romance part is just not really there. Also, there are a few plot points in this movie that I felt like weren't fully developed. Like, there's this one moment where someone betrays a character, and I don't really think they really established anything about that. They don't allude to it later in the movie. It just happens around, let's say, the end of the second act, and then it's never brought up again. It's just kind of pointless to me. And also, even though there are a couple secondary villains in this movie. Ben Schwartz plays this crime boss. So does his mother, Shreya Dashlu, in this movie. She's a crime boss in this movie, but there is no way that I would believe them being related. It just kind of just took a lot out of that movie. I'm like, how is this even happening? Like, this is kind of pointless to me. Like, why are they even in this movie? I felt like there could have been like more from them, particularly Shreya Dashlu. I felt like she could have done a lot more with her performance. Ben Schwartz almost becomes incredibly annoying in this movie, but it's not enough to like, I mean, I hate this movie overall, but It's just something where it's like, did this movie really need to have these characters and this subplot? Oh well. And also the editing too at times, it does take a while to get used to, particularly in a lot of the action scenes. They kind of just cut around the action a lot, but they make sure they kind of focus on the blood a lot. And this movie was apparently edited by 3 people. And I'm like, you can definitely tell that it was edited by 3 different people in those scenes, because like, you can definitely tell like they kind of like had these long shots where it's like, okay, it's like normal interactions and such, but when it cuts to the action, it's like you don't really get to see the action and like how it's taking place. You just see the effects, you just see the blood. And it's not like something like, John Wick, where it's like you see the action mostly. But I don't know, it just kind of got annoying after a while to kind of get used to it. But overall, I'm not going to deny that I enjoyed Renfield. It was a lot of fun watching it. The performances are pretty good. The makeup effects are great. The homages are great. But even though I kind of don't care for some of the plot points in this movie, and also some of the editing, I would still recommend watching this. I'll give Renfield 3 out of 4 stars. See it. So, what's your favorite Nicolas Cage movie? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.